Right, shall we go? All in, all connected?
Ready?
Ready. Okay. Steve, good to go.
TV.
Oh, yes, sorry, I was on mute.
Okay, all right. You can, I mean, since it's only three of us, you can keep it unmuted all the time, so it should be fine.
Okay.
All right, so share screen, there you go. Share and begin the game. All right, lawyer, okay. This is a high salary job.
I'm a dokita.
Doctor, okay.
Dokita.
Doctor, okay. Okay.
The way you say it in Uganda.
Okay, all right.
Dokita.
Doctor, okay. Okay, let me stop sharing and Steve can go.
Okay, I'm a pilot.
Fireworks day.
Okay, shall I share my screen or
Yes, please. Okay, it's only.
is it on charity?
Okay, just charity. Okay, all right. Let's skip that and go to Ben directly.
Okay.
Okay. Ben, can you? All right. Oh, okay. All right. Nice.
Good start. Good start.
Good start. Good start. Could you share your screen?
Is it necessary right now?
Yes, if you can, then we can talk about your deal.
The boat.
The boat, yes.
Okay. Let's see. Here we go. Screen. Boom. Boom.
Okay. All right. Oh, you already went past it. Okay. Boat that you had.
We can still talk about it.
All right. Okay. So, see what does the boat represent? What do you think?
Liability.
No. We always look at the boat as the boat. You know, it's 18 grand in low. I mean, in payment. So, what do you think is the boat? I mean, what does actually the card of the boat signify?
I would say a real life liability.
Of what sort? A boat is a
What?
luxury, right?
Yeah, it is a luxury. Yeah, sure.
Okay. So, do we have to look at the card only as a luxury? Is my question.
Hello.
All right. What do you think, Steve?
Yeah, it's a nice to have, but it's a liability, and if you've got sufficient capital and it doesn't dig into the capital that much percentage wise, it's okay. But if you need to get it on credit, again, it digs into the payday. Yeah, so although the interest on it is lower than the typical 10%, it's still, yeah, it's a liability if you're in a position that you need to get it on credit.
Right. What is the interest rate on that? Ben, can you look at that payment? Monthly payment, what is it? Move the financial statement a little more to the expenses side.
320, is it?
340. Okay. That's
340, yes.
340. Okay, that's 70 divided by 340. It's 50 months. All right. Okay. Now, my thoughts about this is it's not just the boat, right? It's not just the boat. Kiyosaki often talks about how your house is a liability. If you're living in it, it's a liability. If you're renting it out, it's an asset.
Yes.
Same thing, but it depends on how you utilize it. Now, the boat, so it basically talks about something that you are going to enjoy for yourself. It talks about something that you are it's you're going to add a luxury to it, or you're going to add, I mean, that doesn't matter whether it is a luxury or it is it is a necessity, or whatever kind it is. It is something that you are spending for your own self. You are going to enjoy it just for yourself. It is not of any commercial value, or it is not giving you any returns. It is not working like an asset. So this is one of those things which you're talking about. Kiyosaki keeps talking about, where people from the E and the S quadrant, they spend on things which do not add value to their life in terms of cash flow, in terms of passive income. Instead, they would have spent this on something that gives them pleasure, something that gives them it's for fun, or it is for entertainment value. So it could be a house, it could be a car, it could be a boat, it could be anything that you spend for. I mean, if you look at all the expenses that you come up with, expense cards that come up in the rat race, it is also quite similar. You go out, you spend money for only that the boat is the kind of the most expensive thing. Now, if you look at the 18,000, it is quite similar to a house that you would buy in the game as well. If you pay 20,000 or 25,000, you would get a house. If you went for a 2x1, or if you went for a 3x2, you would get around the same kind of costing, except that you don't pay the entire thing, but you pay a higher interest rate on that. So if you pay 8,000 as down payment, and you pay 10% on that, so that is going to be 800 per month. Whereas here you are paying 18,000, okay, 17,000 in boat debt, and your monthly payment is only 340. So this is actually cheaper than buying a house for you to live in. But nevertheless, it represents one of those things that you would want to buy and use for your own self. Or in some other cases, you could think of it as plastic surgery. So even plastic surgery, medical expenses could be quite similar. All right, shall we move?
And another thing I wanted to add,
sure,
on the boat is I've heard, not seen, but heard stories about at least a guy who used the boat as an kind of an Airbnb, or like a party boat. So people could hire the boat.
Yes.
Actually make money from hiring the boat to party people, or like meeting, like business meetings or whatever, you know.
True. So, that's when you turn your, see, when you live in your house, when you use your boat just for yourself, it doesn't become an asset. But when you use your boat to rent out, when you hire it out to people, then it becomes an asset. So if you are able to generate a cash flow of $500 on it, and your payment is only $340 on a monthly basis, then it naturally becomes a positive cash flow asset.
Yeah. The same with the car. We have like
Yes, I mean
car sharing, Uber.
correct. Because when I visited Malaysia some time ago, I did most of my travel by Uber, and most of the Uber guys were part-time guys. They were part-timers. They were either students or they worked for some time of the day, and then they use their own car as an Uber car. So automatically, what happens is they generate enough money probably to pay for the payments, the car payments, and the car becomes an asset for them. But this is not always possible. If you look at the regulations in many countries, you
Yeah.
can use your private car as an Uber taxi. For example, here in Dubai, where I am, you cannot do that. You cannot use your private car as an Uber taxi. Only an existing taxi driver can use his taxi car as an Uber taxi. The same goes in India as well. In India, if you are registered as a taxi driver and a taxi car, then you can become an Uber driver, but you cannot use your private car as your Uber taxi. So a lot of times when your decision to pick up an asset, the decision to purchase an asset has to be in full knowledge of your regulation. You should know exactly what regulation. You cannot pick up a car and then find out, oh, sorry, I could not use this as an Uber taxi because the regulation in my country doesn't allow it. So, or the same way, if you start, if you look at an apartment, for example, many times it happens. People buy apartments because they think it is an investment. So they buy an apartment or they make the down payment on an apartment, and then they think they could probably rent it out to somebody. And then every apartment has an association, a residence association. So suddenly you find that the residence association does not allow you to sublet, doesn't allow you to rent out your flat, your apartment.
Yeah.
So these are regulations that we need to think in advance. But again, a lot of times we cannot openly discuss our business plans in many markets. In say, if you are looking at picking up a flat, you cannot openly go and say to the building management or the developer, I'm buying this so I can rent it out, because sometimes they don't actually plan to encourage people like that. So they might actually obstruct, or they might actually deny you the opportunity to buy a flat, buy an apartment, because you already have plans like that. So you cannot always disclose what you have. So a lot of research has to go into your environment. That is what I meant to say. You have to go into your regulation. You have to go into any other factors that might create problems or create obstructions for you. And this is one of the this is part of market research as well. This is what you would do before you spend your money, not after you spend your money.
Yes.
All right. Okay, so let's move to the next clip. Okay, next deal, roll, and oh wow, okay, 100,000. Okay, I'm not going to stick on that. There you go, and stop share. Steve goes next. All right, Steve, you there?
Yes.
Okay, all right, okay. Right. All right, buy toys for your kids. Now, this is something that we can't resist.
No.
Right. Then, all right, big deal, go. Automated business, coin business. Okay, all right, okay. Now, this is not a saleable asset. This is a cash flow asset. Look at it. Can you, Ben, can you explain the deal?
That's it for coin telephone business. Available due to death of owner.
Okay, so you can start with what the description means, and then we can go to the figures, the numbers.
Okay.
All right.
So the owner is basically passed, and his family is out of state. So all locations are long term.
Right. So what does that mean?
That means that let me see. No, you gotta help me out here.
Okay, so all locations on long-term contract, which means there is no additional cost of sale, which means, okay, when you look at any business, when you look at, this is the difference between starting a business and taking over a business, right? So there are things when you have to look at when you start a business. There are things when you have that you have to look at when you take over a business. Now, all the deals that we are doing in the big deals over here about businesses is about taking over businesses. Now, taking over businesses, what do you look at? All locations on long-term contract, which means when you look at the cost of sale, when you look at how much money you would spend to generate your cash flow, it is zero, which means the cash flow that is mentioned over there, 2,700, comes to you at no additional cost, right?
Yes.
So that means you don't have to worry about, oh, how am I going to make this work? I'm talking about real life scenarios. I'm not talking about just the game. I'm talking about real life scenarios. So you don't have to worry about, oh, how am I going to make this work? I'm going to spend 40,000, and how am I going to make this 2.7 K? How am I going to make this $2,700 out of my 40,000 every month? So all locations on long-term contract simply means the sale has already completed. There is no, you are operating at good capacity. Full capacity, I don't know, but good capacity generating cash.
Is it like a franchise type?
This may not be on there's nothing mentioned on a franchise or not, but this could well be a franchise franchise business as well. So any business you could convert to a franchise business if you succeed in documenting your successful model properly. Now I'm selecting my words very carefully, because if you look at it, if you want to franchise, first you should have a successful model, which means you should have a business which is running and can generate money. So that is number one. Number two, you should have proper documentation which can clearly indicate how is this going to be duplicated. How is the next person, by just looking at my documentation, going to be able to operate a very similar, competently set up business establishment in a different location. So you have to be successful, you have to be documented, and then you can think about duplication. When you start duplicating, you have to make sure that, okay, Ezra just came in. Welcome, Ezra. All right. Okay, so when you duplicate, you have to make sure that you are able to control every aspect. Hi, Ezra. Welcome in.
Hello guys, sorry I'm late.
Okay. Right. So I'm going to continue here. That we need to make sure when you duplicate, you need to make sure that the initial establishment, the franchisor is able to train and create a duplicate of himself in the franchisee in the new location. Now this, how successfully you create a duplicate is how a franchising business can kick off. Now here it doesn't say anything about being on a franchise, but it could well be a franchise. There is no limitation to it. But the only requirement of being a franchisor and a franchisee is that you have to be able to you have to have a successful business model, and you have to have proper documentation on that business model. And once you have the documentation on that business model, you have to transfer this to a duplicate location, a duplicate establishment, a duplicate setup, which is done exactly like the first one or on the guidelines of the successful business model of the first one. And that would help you create something. So there is no limitation on which business can go on a franchise and which cannot go on a franchise. Because every business, if it has to operate properly, it has to be documented well. And if you have to franchise it, you have to document it well. Again, if you look at franchisee, you cannot franchise special skills. Now, if you have a successful doctor's practice, you cannot franchise this doctor's practice. If you have a successful actor, you cannot franchise the actor, because you cannot transfer the skills or you cannot document the skills. So talent cannot be franchised. Skill cannot be, an individual skill, a person's skill cannot be franchised. So when it comes to that, there are other ways of making money out of that. So if I'm a very skilled actor, a very talented actor, not a skilled actor, a talented actor, I can create a brand around my talent, and I can sell the brand. So I am actually transferring the goodwill that I enjoy as an actor. I'm transferring that goodwill to a brand, and that brand can go and create commercial value. Now, many successful actors have created production houses. So they use their credibility as an actor. They use their credibility as an established actor to produce other works. That is one way of monetizing it. Several actors go into, many actors go into endorsements, and they create brands around those endorsements. So this is another way of monetizing your skill apart from just acting. Now, if you are a doctor and you are a very successful doctor, you can create a brand around your skill. Several of them have done that, and we've seen this. Like, you create if you're a doctor, you create a brand around your name, and you multiply the brand presence in different markets. Once you multiply your brand presence in different markets, automatically your fame as a doctor and your credibility as a doctor is going to bring footfall, patients into your clinics elsewhere, even though the skilled doctor himself is not present over there. And normally we see arrangements like the skilled doctor, the real doctor, the founder of the brand. He visits some of these locations on scheduled dates. So there are ways of creating or multiplying skills and talents which cannot be duplicated. So it's not duplication, it's just multiplication. You are multiplying the audience through the brand, through the by using the credibility that you have built up as a talented person, as a skilled person, right? So that's anyway. So this may or may not be. Sorry, Steve, you were trying to say something?
No?
Okay, all right. Sorry, I thought I heard something. Okay, so this is this may or may not be a franchise business, but the death of the owner and the out-of-state heirs together create a combination where you see that the owner was integral, or he was important to the running of the business. Now, this is again something that we can contemplate. If the owner was important to the running of the business and the heirs do not want to keep the business, do not want to run the business, which means it was more like family-owned business, but let's say it was dependent. There was it was dependent on the person, on the owner actually running the show. And okay, again, all locations on long-term contract. So motivated seller in I don't know if Ben used this term before in one of our meetings, but the motivated seller. Okay, Ben, let's go. Let's go through the financials, shall we?
All right.
Okay, so what do you have? Okay, running out of time, 40-minute limit. Can we run through the financials? Can you put up your screen, Ben?
Hold on.
Okay.
Let me fix something. There we go. What was it? 2.7.
Okay. What did you do?
What happened? Jumped down. No, it fell out.
Okay. Okay. All right. So you lost that chance.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Let's get back to that later. Okay. So it is my turn to share. And where am I? Okay. Look at the financial statement. Okay. Positive. And I roll. Okay. So go for a big deal. Right. Well, nice deal here. Right. Older fourplex next to a new highway. Now, new highway should say something. The words are important. What does it mean? New highway.
One that wasn't there before.
Sure, yes. But how does it affect the the perception of the property? How do you look at it from commercial terms?
Yeah, I think it's still viable. It's just that the previous owner wasn't happy with the highway being there and wants to move to a quieter area.
Right.
But it doesn't detract from the potential in the property.
Yeah. What does it do to the potential of the property?
I don't think, I think the potential is still there. It's just the particular owner wasn't happy with the highway being there, but it's not to say that
Okay, let's
a future owner won't be.
Steve, let's look at it sentence by sentence. Okay, let's not talk about the old owner.
Okay.
Okay, just look at the first sentence. Older fourplex next to new highway for sale.
Yes.
Analyze. Look at what does that mean? I mean, what does that tell you?
It existed before the highway did.
Okay, so there's an older property, all right,
Yes.
and there's a new highway. So which means the existence of the new highway, the fact that a new highway has come in has improved the commercial value. See, we are talking about commercial property here. All commercial property is based on location or neighborhood. All right.
Okay.
All commercial property is valued. If you're talking about say if you want to buy a house for yourself, right, then you would talk about personal preference. You would say, okay, like this owner, he wants to move to a quiet place. All right, that's his personal choice.
Yes.
If I was a young couple and I work in the city, then I want something near the highway, so I can travel to the city fast, come back, right?
Yes.
So and we see that property that is closer to the city is or accessible to the city is always more valuable than the suburbs, isn't it? So the first line should tell us that this property is sitting in a location which is highly in demand or is going to increase in demand. There's never going to be what do you say? There's never going to. It is not going to go down in valuation. It can only go up in valuation. All right. So That's what the first line should tell us. It says there is a new highway which was not planned when the building was put up. So if the building was there before the highway was there, that means the cost of creating that building, constructing that building is low, whereas the valuation on it is going to go up now because it is next to the highway, because it is going to be in a it is going to be the kind of high demand property. All right, okay, let's look at the next line. It says owner or occupant moving to quieter area. What does that tell you?
Like you said, personal preference, but it doesn't detract from the value of the property.
Right. But next, let's look at the owner's personal preference. How is it going to affect my pricing?
Well, he wants out of the area, so it's priced for a quick sale. So there is greater value in that to satisfy his personal requirement.
Right. He wants to get out. He wants to exit the deal. He wants to finish the deal and move as soon as possible.
Yes.
So he's not going to be very. You will see these kind of people in real life as well. So when you see those people, you will know they don't want to. They will make compromises faster for you. If you negotiate, they will budge faster, quickly. They won't make you drag the deal out for too long. So it would be easier to complete the transaction. Now let's look at the financials. What down payment is he asking for? What percentage of down payment is he asking for? Did you calculate that?
17.
16%.
16%, 16.6, 17%. Now, market research, or let's say game research here, but even otherwise market research can tell you that the maximum that you would pay out for down pay is like 20% or 20, maybe even 25%. But 20% is the kind of average value. So he is definitely asking for less than the best that he can ask for, right? So he is only asking for 17%, or he is asking for 17% when he could probably ask for 20%. And it's a fourplex, which means your cash flow is 500 by 4, and that is 125, which is not so great, but not so bad either, right? So I'm going to buy, because, okay, again, I look at my fourplex, the cost is 90,000 for 4 units, which means it's 22,500 for 1 unit. Market research, go back to the market research, it says it can sell for up to 40,000. So which means it's not a bad investment. It's buying in, it's not entirely buying at the best profit, but it is definitely buying in profit. All right, so let's have a look at the financials. Okay, so since everybody is here, we'll continue. I didn't actually notice that the time had run out on that. So it gave me passive income 500. It took me down by 1,300 in my loan payment. But yes, I am an owner of a Plex unit. Let's go with, right, Steve.
Okay.
All right, even better deal.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So let's see. Could you zoom your screen a little bit?
Sure. Better?
Yes. Perfect.
Okay.
Let's go.
Okay, so this is 20% down payment,
All right.
but the overall cost is less. So the potential in it, or at maximum price,
Mm.
it's getting the units for half the price.
Yes.
The
Yes.
maximum value, yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, this looks good. So this would take the cost of the down payment, because I don't have the capital available.
Yes.
It's going to be 1,600 minus the 2,000 that's here. So
Right.
it'd be down 1,400 and up 750.
Right. What can
So
you tell
that
us
would,
about the description, Steve?
okay. So it's a forced sale,
Right.
out of state. So the person's not hands-on. It's not in the same vicinity that they're residing in. It's financially distressed, as the owner is years behind in taxes. Yeah, so it's personal reasons they need to offload the property quickly
Right.
in order to handle their own situation.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of value, yeah, it offers good value for a new person taking it over.
Right. So I want to just add a little bit to what you just said.
Okay.
Look at it says out of state financially distressed owner. Now, financially distressed owners normally they tend to take a higher down pay.
Okay.
All right. This is even in real life, because what they need immediately is cash.
Yes.
Right. So their requirement is cash. So they normally would go for the highest down pay that they could get. That's number one. Number two, look at the description which says some records available. Now, I don't know exactly what it means, but I believe it is that some records available should indicate that that you may face legal trouble once you complete this transaction, because then the responsibility of clearing off these records will come to you.
Yes.
So some records available should indicate or may indicate. Now, this is something that we need to keep in mind when we do a property transaction as well, to make sure that the records are clean and records are complete before we do the transaction, or we be prepared to take up the responsibility after the transaction.
Yes.
Right, so that is one of the reasons also to drive down the value of the property. This is a negotiating factor. Like you could You can say, okay, I will give you a higher down pay, but I will give you a lower value because I will get into a lot of trouble which I need to clear by myself. So I'm not going to be able to spend too much money on buying the property as to clearing the records, but I will give you your down pay, which is what you need right now. So this is one of the negotiating tactics, or this is the negotiating strategy that you could use to bring down the overall value of the building, or which means to reduce your cost, which means to buy in profit. All right.
Yes.
So go ahead, and good cash flow. Look at it, 750, which means earlier we had the same fourplex for sale, the one that I picked up. It had only $500 in cash flow, which means 125 per unit. This one has got 750 per month, which means it should be 175, correct? 175
Yes.
to 4. Yes,
350.
more than 175. 750 divided by 4. That's 176. Okay, all right, not much, but 176.88. So per unit, which is a better cash flow than the other ones available in the market. So which is good. All right, go ahead, Steve.
Okay.
All right. All right, Charity. And 4. There you go. I'll go with a big deal. All right. 4-bay coin automated, coin operated. I think we already discussed this one in one of the previous meetings, and we had the same audience.
Yeah, Lijo, I have a question.
Sure.
Yes.
Regarding on businesses, how
Okay.
will you know? How will you know if you can sell your business with appreciation? Because I remember that Thomas discussed me last time that he owns a vending machine company, right?
Right.
Then he sold the vending machine with a huge profit.
Mhm.
Or beside vending machine, beside vending machine business, what are the other businesses that you think that you can sell with a profit?
Okay. You mean from the game, right?
Yeah, yes. I mean, as well in the real life.
Sorry, come again.
I mean, as well in the real life. What
Real
are
life.
the business?
Okay. In real life, you could sell anything. You can sell anything. Okay. Just think of it this way. Consider the game. Okay. Consider the game, and there are businesses that you buy in the big deals. You buy businesses, but you can't sell them. You don't get any market cards in the big for those in the game for those businesses. But some other businesses you get market cards and you can sell them. But that is only related to assets that you're holding in the game. Imagine this business which you are not able to sell from the game. Let's say, which one would that be? Pizza franchise, for example. You take a pizza franchise, it's a $500 cost, $100,000, $500,000 cost, $100,000 down payment, $5,000 cash flow card. It's a pizza franchise. Now, that pizza franchise is on sale. And if you buy it, you are not able to sell it in the game, that's all. But in real life, that pizza franchise is for sale and you purchased it. So if it was on sale once, then there is nothing that is stopping you from putting it on sale again. Right? So any business in real life is saleable. Unless it is depending on your personal skill or talent. Now, if you are, let's say, now this is a real life example. We have a very famous singer. He sings. He's got records on singing, and he's got records on his remuneration, the money he charges to sing a song, and all those kind of things. So he sings songs, and he has a record company as well. So he is a singer, he owns a studio, and he has a record company. Now all three belong to him. As a singer, he is in the S quadrant. As a musician, he is in the S quadrant. As a studio, his establishment is in the S quadrant. Because a studio it's one studio, okay? So that one studio can only work to its own capacity. It cannot multiply. Otherwise, he should have a series of studios, which means it's a business of studios or renting studios. The third part of his business is a record company. Now, the record company is in the B category, because in the B category, a record company can take any records, anybody's records, produce it, package it, and sell it to a large audience, which means they are a business establishment. Like if you look at the quadrants, so there's E and S. So his talent is in the S. His studio is a small business, which is in the S. But his record company is in the B, which is a large business. Now he can sell the studio as a small business. He can sell the record company as a big business. Big business, a record, takeovers and acquisitions, mergers and acquisitions happen all the time, right? So banks can merge with each other, businesses can merge with each other. Nokia is one of the best examples. Nokia was a brand, was a company, was a business. Then Nokia was taken over by, I think Motorola took over Nokia for some time, and then they sold it to Microsoft. Microsoft had Nokia for some time, and then now I think Nokia is they've split the brand into the Nokia. The Lumia has gone with Microsoft, and the Nokia has gone independent with some Chinese company or something like that. Anyway, so these kind of mergers and acquisitions happen all the time, and you can, as a person, as an individual, you can own assets in the S, in the B, and in the I. You have to look at each one of them independently. Like the record company, it's a record company. You can sell a record company, but it will be a sale or a merger or an acquisition in the B category, in the B quadrant. You can sell your small studio, your recording studio, and that will be in the S quadrant. So in real life, everything is saleable. You just have to find the right buyer, right?
So, thank you.
Especially if you are successful, then there will be even more takers. It will be easier to sell because people will be looking at now. Okay, I can give you an example in that as well. Now I'm in Dubai, and right now, and in Dubai there was a company called Souk.com. Souk is the Arabic word for marketplace. SOUQ. Okay. So Souk.com. There was a site which started out as an auction site. So I've made a lot of small deals in the auction. I used to pick up stuff from. I used to buy low and sell high. You know, I used to buy in profit from other people who would auction their stuff, and then I would repost it in the same auction site, and I would make some margin out of it. So it started out as an auction site. Then they went out into purely e-commerce, like Amazon or eBay or something like that. And then when Amazon wanted a presence, Amazon never had a presence in the UAE or in Dubai until maybe about 5 years ago. I think it is 5 years. So 5 years ago, when Amazon wanted to come into Dubai market, they looked at what is the successful, who is the successful player, which is the successful business in the Dubai market, and they placed a bid on that. They said, okay, Souk.com, we are willing to pay you so much of money. This is our valuation. Let's negotiate. We want to take over your business. Now they took over the business, they took over the customers, they took over the existing suppliers, vendors, everybody. And they renamed it as Amazon.ae or Amazon Dubai. So everything is saleable. If you are successful, you have more takers. You have more people who want to be part of you or who want to take over your company. If you are not so successful, then maybe you will not find good buyers. But that is only because you are not so successful, not because the business is not saleable. You might sell at a loss also. If you have liabilities, like say, for example, you are a small business owner and you have liabilities, you don't want to continue your business, you may sell and you may try to get whatever little value you can get out of the business, so that you can compensate only for the loss, not for the entire value that you are in trouble for. If you have a personal liability, so you don't want to you want to generate a little cash from whatever is possible, so you might actually sell for a loss as well. But everything is saleable. Still the same, it's the same line, everything is saleable. I'm just giving you examples of real market situations that I've observed or I've come across.
Thank you for that. Vijay.
You're most welcome.
I never thought that there are there is that kind of website that auctions those businesses that sell. Because I never hear it here in the Philippines
Okay.
that those are exist. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Sometimes you have to go looking for buyers. Sometimes buyers will come to you. That depends on your success rate. That's all. The same goes for investment as well. Okay. So if you have a business and you're running your business and you are fairly successful at it, then sometimes, I mean, you could observe that people, they come to you and propose investment. Like sometimes you have to go looking for investment. Sometimes you have to ask people for investment. But if you are successful enough, but not expanding very fast or something like that. People may come and offer you investment for, and then you can, then there's a proposal. If you are moving very fast, like extremely fast, again, you could have offers because people want to ride the train with you. They want to join you, and they think of you as a good investment. It's like if you want to put money in a bank, you wouldn't want to put money in a bank if the bank was not stable, right? It's the same way. If you want to invest in a business, you have some cash and you want to invest in a business. You would look around and see, okay, this business is actually growing. This business is actually doing well. So if I put my money with them, if I invest my money with that business in the same brand, in the same founders, in the same management, then probably my money would be safe. My money would grow. Maybe not as much as I wanted to, but it will still be safe and in growth. So the same thing happens when it comes to investment with investment as well, not just sale of businesses, but also investment in businesses. You would again look at success rate or how well the business is doing. Of course, if you are experienced, if you have a good background in finance, or if you learn about finance, then you are able to quickly identify from the balance sheet or from the profit and loss statement, from the records, when you look at the sales, when you look at the net profit, you know which direction the business is actually going. So learning about financial statements is also quite important when it comes to making an assessment on a business, or even to assess your own business to see if it is going in the right direction, if it is going exactly where you want to take it, or at least close to where you want to take it. Right. So shall we move?
Yes, yes.
All right. So this one, I will leave it to, who should I? Ezra. You can look at the deal that I've got, and you can tell us how you can explain the deal to us.
This is a automated business.
All right.
Means it is already okay. It has a system that even the owner is not there,
Excellent.
it will automatically bring a cash flow to the owner.
All right.
It says that it has a successful 4-bay coin-operated auto wash near BC intersection, meaning that this is a coin-based, coin-operated car wash, which is near in the BC intersection, or let's say in this near the city or near some highways, right?
Right.
And
Good traffic and footfall.
yes, yes. And sellers moving to retirement community out of state, meaning the seller wants to move to the other community.
Right. Like, I will add to it a little bit. Like just how we discussed earlier, seller is moving to retirement community out of state. Now, seller is moving because of personal preference. Steve, you remember we discussed this in this meeting, right? So, seller is moving to retirement, which means it's a personal preference. Now, that also means most people don't, once they've made up their mind about their personal preference, they don't give up that choice for any reason. So if he has already decided to retire, then he is decided to retire. Most people don't change their mind, even if for many reasons. For emotional reasons, they don't change their mind. So it's an observation. It is not mandatory, but you can think of it like that. That if the owner is retiring, then he has made up his mind. He will sell. Right. Okay. So let's go ahead with the deal. Can you run us through the figures, Ezra?
The cost is 125,000 and cash flow is 1,800.
Mhm.
The down payment is 25,000. So the down payment and so the down payment is around 20% of the total cost,
Yes.
and the cash flow is around 7.2 ROI.
7.2. Good one, huh?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, if my actually I would also, I don't know if what's the term, add that if the cash flow is 7.2%
All right.
ROI, so it is just based on the cash flow, right, to the down payment.
On the down payment, yes.
Yes. So so the ROI aside from the capital gains is not also included, right?
No.
So
They
that will be an additional ROI aside from the cash flow.
Yes. Yes. Capital gains is something that does not have a guarantee. True. There is no guarantee that we would be able to sell, especially big business. Now, the bigger the valuation, the lesser the chance of making a sale, right? So think of it in the game. How many times do you see a Plex deal, and how many times do you see a car wash deal?
Just once.
Car wash deal, there is one chance for the car wash deal to happen. Whereas if you look at the Plex, you get multiple opportunities, multiple valuations. Sometimes you get them at 25,000, sometimes you get them at 30,000, 35,000, and very rarely, but definitely you get them at 40,000 as well. So the smaller units, individual. Now, if you want to make quick sales, if you want to make quick capital gains, you would go with deals like a Plex or a house or an apartment or something like that. And because these have got more opportunities to sell. Now, this is again something from real life. If you have a car wash business, if you have an auto wash business, what chance is it that somebody else who also wants to own an auto wash business comes and makes you a deal? Whereas if you have a house that you want to sell, there's a high probability that somebody else who wants to live in the same locality, somebody else who wants to live in the same neighborhood will come and make you an offer. So the opportunity, the number of opportunities is also different as the as the value of the deal goes higher. If you think of it, even in terms of apartments in the game. Now there is one deal which says 60,000 apartments. I'm sorry, 60 apartments, right? 60 apartments in one complex. Now, who wants to buy 60 apartments in one complex with a down pay of $200,000? How many people would actually go for the deal? Okay, now I'm not talking about the people like us who go for big deals, but I'm talking about how many of us would actually, in real life, how many people will you see, how many takers will you see who will come and make a deal or make an offer for something that where the down pay is 200,000 and there's a 60 apartment complex with a valuation of what was that, 20 to 1.2 million. Most people, if you pitch it to them, if you ask them, do you want to make a deal on this one, they would either faint or they would laugh at you. So even when it comes to apartments or high demand property like that, as the value climbs, you will see that the takers are fewer. Now, to run a business, again, in real life or in the game, or let's talk about real life. To run a business, I speak to many people on regularly. And I talk to them, I say, okay, if you have this talent, you can make this into a business in such a way. I suggest to them. And they say, no. I don't want to get into business. I don't want to get into, and it's strange reasons. I mean, very, very funny reasons. I don't want to get into business because as a businessman, I might have to influence people to buy, and it doesn't go with my ethics. I don't want to be a businessman because it may, I have to sell and I don't know sales. I don't want to be a businessman because that is a high risk activity. I don't think I'm made for that kind of a risk. I don't want to go into business for so many reasons. I studied this and it is not about business. I studied engineer. I am an engineer. I'm not a businessman. I studied physics. I'm a physicist. I'm not a businessman. So different people have different reasons not to become a businessman. So that is because of schooling. That is because we are all taught to be employees in school, or that is because we are the message is very clear: study well, get a good job. The message is there's multiple impacts on a child's mind. It says study well, get a good job. Study well, get a good job. You know, in India, if you were in school, they would say, study well, get a good government job, because they think the government jobs are the best pay and least work. So anyway, so as the value of the deal goes higher, the number of people who are willing to make the deal will reduce as well. So the number of offers that you get will also reduce. That's something that we keep in mind when we do when we think of a business, or when we think of making a deal on property or whatever it is. And, all right. Okay. So that's. That's 1,800 divided by 25,000 times. Okay, all right, 7.2, and okay, so it's got a return on. Okay, so we were actually talking about that because you wanted to consider the ROI of the capital gains as well, correct? You were thinking that we might consider the ROI on the capital gains, and then the cash flow plus the capital gains would be higher. So the possibility of capital gains is a good chance, but you cannot consider capital gains because where these go on your balance sheet is also different. Have you seen that? It go on your financial statement. Now, if you made capital gains, where would you see that?
Once you sell the property.
Yes,
the
when you sell
asset.
the property, where would you see your capital gains?
Income.
No,
In the margin.
no. You will see it in your cash. You will see it in your cash. So the moment you make capital gains, it will come to cash. Right? Now, what all comes to cash? If you take a loan, it comes to cash, doesn't it? If you take, if you sell something, and you make money on it. Let's say you sell it at a loss. You sell your asset at a loss. Still, the transaction value comes to cash, right? But where does your cash flow go?
It will go down.
Yes, okay. Now, your cash flow from the deal, where in your financial statement will you locate it?
In the income.
In the income, exactly. Right. So your cash flow will go to your income. It will go here. If you can see my mouse pointer. I don't know. Can you see my mouse pointer?
No.
No. Okay. All right. Sorry. Okay. Then it will go under income. Your cash flow will go under income and it will go into your passive income. Your cash or your capital gains will go into cash and it will not go anywhere. It will just stay there with every other cash, with the loan cash, with the sale of property under loss cash. So every cash will come to cash and it will stay there until you decide what you want to do with that cash. So where these two kinds of returns, now one is capital gains is also a kind of returns, cash flow is another kind of returns. Now where these two kinds of returns go on your financial statement is two different things. One goes to income and the other goes to cash. So it's cash is actually like asset. If you have an asset, you can sell it, you can lose it, you can do whatever you want with it, you can transact it, but you cannot do anything with your cash flow. You cannot transfer your cash flow, at least not in the game or not so easily in real life. You cannot transfer your cash flow. You can transfer your cash. Cash is something that we use for easy transaction. Okay, this meeting is going to end very soon. So I will just buy this and keep it ready for the next turn, whoever is Steve, to share the screen. All right.
Okay.
Okay, before you share, let's get out of the meeting and come back.
Okay.
Okay. Everybody in. Okay. All right. Let's go.
Okay.
All right. Go ahead. Roll. Okay. Now, in contrast, can you zoom a little bit more, Steve,
Sure.
so we can read the deal properly? All right. Run us through the deal, Steve. What do you think?
Okay. Fourplex for sale by owner who's moving out of state, so they're leaving the vicinity of the property.
All right.
There's full records,
All right.
so there's no risk in taking on the asset.
Right.
It's fully rented
Right.
and has a low occupancy turnover, yeah,
Yes.
and it's in a good neighborhood. So it's kind of if we look at the cost of it, so it is just under, well, 160 would be the maximum in the game.
Mhm.
So the terms of the value, it's a solid asset, but in terms of like reselling it for a higher price, we're kind of just under the limit for that. But then there's a good return for the down payment.
Okay, so look at it. Well, yeah, I completely agree with your analysis of the description. Now, owner wants to sell, but the owner wants to sell, and he's got full records, which means the value of the asset, like how we discussed before, you have nothing to negotiate on the value of the asset because he's got full records. It is fully rented, which means you don't have to make any sale. So you are saving on the cost of sale. You have a low occupant turnover, which means nobody is leaving the place, and good neighborhood. Excellent. Now, look at the cash flow. It reflects every single bit of it. $2,000 for a fourplex. Now, compared to what you had earlier, you are getting $500 per unit in this one, right?
Yes.
$500. Imagine 125 or $100 is the best you can get in some of the other fourplex units. And here you are talking about 4 times or 5 times that. So it should give you a good indication of what a good neighborhood means. True?
Yes.
Yes. Look at the valuation, 140,000, which means you are paying for a fourplex, 140,000. That means per unit, it should be 35,000.
Yes.
35,000 per unit. Now, the best you could resell this one was for 40,000.
40, yes.
40,000. So it is impossible to make any capital gains on this one.
Not impossible, but it's a lower chance.
It is, okay, I'm going to tell you it is impossible.
Okay.
And I'm going to give you the reason for that. All right. So if you look at it, look at the down payment, it's 32,000, and you have 2,000 in cash, which means you will take a loan of 30,000.
Yes.
Yes, which will give you a monthly expense of 3,000.
Yes.
Right. your cash flow is 2,000 per month, which means
Yeah.
you are at a loss of
1,000.
1,000 every month.
Yes.
All right. Now, a market card comes to you only once every payday. Correct?
Okay.
All right. So every payday you have, after every payday, you have a chance to make a market card, which means you have a chance to sell. If you sell this unit at the best price, let's say 40,000 per unit, that would be 160,000.
Yeah.
All right. So altogether, you stand to make a benefit of $20,000. True?
Yes.
True. Now that means, and that is the best. Okay. And your chances of making that, we will discuss that later. But on an average, if it sells for 35,000, you stand to make no capital gains on it. Whereas every payday you will spend money on this.
Yes.
You will spend 1,000 each, which means the average possibility is that you would lose money, not make money. Okay, making money on a monthly basis is out of question. You are not making money on a monthly basis, you are losing money on a monthly basis. Now, if you are able to sell at 40,000, you can go 20 times before you are in total loss. True?
Yes.
Yes, because every month you are losing only 1,000. You are losing 1,000. So you have a chance of running through the rat race for 20 paydays before you can completely ignore how much money you have made on this one.
Okay.
All right. And the possibility of, now there are three possibilities. Let's assume very simple rates, okay? There are four possibilities. You have a market card for 25,000, you have a market card for 30,000, you have a market card for 35,000, and you have a market card for 40,000. If you consider, you have, let's take it in very simple terms. I don't want to go into complicated statistics, but if you look at it, 25% of the chance is that you will make money on this one.
Yes.
For 75% times, you will lose money on this one. Or you will not make money on this one.
Yes.
Right. And let's say that's for 75%, you will not make money. And out of that 75%, only one possibility, the 25% is that you even out. You don't make money and you don't lose money.
Okay.
Correct? So if you sell at 35,000, you don't make money, you don't lose money, but you have to make it within the next payday.
Yeah, so, or otherwise you're down. Yes.
So if you, now look, let's summarize everything together. If you are able to sell this property before the next payday at 35,000, you don't lose money. If you are able to sell this property after the next payday at 40,000, you don't lose money. But in every other scenario, you will lose money. And like I said, as the value of the deal goes higher, or as you expect a higher value in the deal, now this 40,000, you are expecting 40,000 in the deal. The possibility of 40,000 coming in is not zero, but the possibility of 35,000, 30,000, 25,000 coming in is more, because that's 75% of the chances, and this is only 25% of the chance.
Yes.
Right? So this is about risk analysis. Now, this is about risk analysis.
Yes.
Okay. And when you look at your risk is higher and your returns are lower, or returns are negative. The reason why we pick up the other property is because the risk and the returns, they at best, you can always make them look quite, you can go over a number of more paydays. Now, if you are paying only 16,000 for as down payment instead of 32,000, imagine you are already making money and you are running. Now, let's see, 32,000 is how much, what percentage is the down payment?
22, it's 22%.
It's 22%, okay. 22% itself should ring alarm bells for you, because the down payment is above the regular average down payment that you would be expecting.
Yes.
Right? So that itself is a high valuation deal. Now, how many people would come forward to make a deal with you for such a such an opportunity? If you were the seller, how many people would actually come and take it up? Now, on the other hand, if you had cash, now you don't have
Yes.
cash. Now that's your scenario. Now this is where you need to connect your portfolio or your financial statement with the deal at hand. If you had cash already, you had 30,000 with you and you're only borrowing 2,000, it would be a very simple decision, because it will add massive passive income to you. It would add $2,000 at one shot to your passive income, as compared to the previous deal that you did, which gave you only $750 in passive income. This one is giving you 4 times more, or 3 times more passive income.
Yes.
So if you had cash, not if you could borrow cash, if you already had cash, then you are only looking at how can I increase my passive income? How can I use this cash? Because cash by itself will not take you out of the rat race. You have to invest that cash, and you have to convert that cash into cash flow. You have to convert that cash into passive income. So if you had cash, then yes, you would go ahead, purchase, improve your cash flow, improve your passive income, and utilize that, invest that cash, make some benefit out of that cash. Since you don't have cash and you have to borrow, you are running a huge risk of losing money, not making capital gains, not making cash flow.
Yes, correct.
Right. Now, I've given you 2 scenarios. One is you are doing well, you have cash. The other is you are not doing well. This is your current scenario. Now, I cannot give you only one analysis. I cannot say don't buy because you will lose money. There is another scenario where you will buy because you will not lose money. You will invest your money. So this is It depends. This is the reason why we need to learn to look at our financial statement before we make a deal. Now, if this deal comes, this is in the first half of the game, so everybody is low on cash. If this deal came to us when we were, let's say, when everyone had cash, now we have made some deals, we have made some capital gains, we are towards the end of the game, we have already generated cash, we have generated capital, we have made capital gains and we have generated cash. Then what we are focusing on is cash flow so that we can get into the fast track, not in the rat race. So then this scenario would be completely different. This scenario would be when you look at your financial statement, you would want to do this deal. But right now, you don't have cash, so you wouldn't want to do this deal. So your decision, your financial decision has to be connected to the status of your financial statement. This goes for both your real life scenario as well as your game scenario. Okay?
Yes.
All right.
I want to add, Lidio, based on my analysis on this game, the best deal to buy flexes is by what you said is the 30,000 per flex, right? So
20,000 per flex.
20,000. May I ask why is 20,000? Because I never see a buyer who buys a 20,000 flex. The minimum is 25,000.
No, you can buy, let's say, one of the deals that I don't remember. Steve, did you do that deal? 80,000 fourplex, 80,000?
Yes.
Yes.
Correct.
Can you scroll down to that deal? I mean, can you show us on your financial statement? Right. See?
Here.
That is the 80,000 for a fourplex. 80,000 for a fourplex is 80,000 divided by 4. That is 20,000 per unit.
Oh, so that's the lowest.
Lowest, yes.
Okay. But because while playing the game, I made an observation that
Okay.
based on the flexes, the best the average value of the flex will be to buy is around 30,000. Meaning, for if you're going to buy a fourplex, the average value should be 120,000. So more than 120,000 is a bad deal for me, and lower than 120,000 is a good deal because we will gain a capital gain if it is below 120,000.
Normally, I would only go for up to 25,000 because otherwise, I mean, anything beyond that, I'll tell you why. Because if you buy for, now there are 4 kinds of deals for Plex. There's a 40,000, 35,000, 30,000 and 25,000 Plex. The market card. You know, when you want to sell, you will find buyers for all 4 of them. Now, if you look at the possibility of making money, they are only on the 40,000 and the 35,000 deals. For the same reason, you can go through the payday a number of times before the appropriate market card comes up. So, and all these deals we are doing at a loss, right? We are paying money on every payday. We are spending money to keep the asset with us. So every time you go through the payday and you have to, now this is, let's say, how do you put it? if you have to assume that this is where I keep saying the first half of the game, the second half of the game. The first half of the game is before you make your capital gains. The second half of the game is after you make your capital gains. So before you make your capital gains, you have to assume that you will go through the cycle very many times. You will go through many paydays before you can actually make your deal. So you need to buy so much in profit. Like say you cannot go beyond 25,000, because if you go anything beyond 25,000, you will lose money after so many paydays, even if you make capital gains. Like if you buy something at 30,000 and you are getting a market card for 35,000, and you already went through the payday, you already went through 5 paydays, you're not making any money. So that is the reason why it gives you more flexibility. If you go through, if you buy at 25,000, you can go through 10 paydays before you actually take a deal for 35,000. If you buy at 20,000, you can go through 20 paydays before you take a deal. You can go through 15 paydays before you take a deal for 35,000. Now, it gives you more flexibility if you buy at the lowest, and again, you look at your financial statement and you decide whether you want it or not. Another thing I will say is I always look at my financial statement so that I can decide if I have enough diversification or not. Now, what is diversification?
Spreading risk.
Spreading risk is one way of looking at it, but that is more like the E and S quadrant way of looking at it. E and S, the employees and the self-employed or the small business people, they look at spreading the risk over multiple things. But as an investor, you look at investing in multiple categories of assets, because you are here to make capital gains in the first half of the game. True?
Yes.
Yes. You want to make capital gains or you want to make cash flow. Now, in either, you have to look at it, your perception, your observation, or your thinking should always be related to capital gains or cash flow. Now, if you are looking at capital gains or cash flow, think of it this way. You make a Plex deal, like in the first half of the game, you make a Plex deal, you make an apartments deal, you make a few houses deals, you make a couple of limited partnership deals, you make one of those auto wash deals. So you have done all these things. When you do all these things, now the possibility of a market card coming up in one of these 5 different deals is multiplied 5 times. You can make money from any one of these deals. You don't have to, like say, instead you do only 4 Plex deals, and all the market cards that come up are apartments and limited partnerships. You have no benefit, you have no possibility of making capital gains, and you are spending money through every payday. So if you have 5 different deals done, you have 5 different possibilities, 5 times the possibility of making capital gains. Instead, if you have only houses, for example, and this happened to me once. It didn't happen to me. I mean, I didn't do it on purpose, but unfortunately, because all the cards that I got those in that game was all big deals for 3x2s. I picked up all the 3x2s because I had no other better deals to do. I picked up all the 3x2s, and suddenly there was a card which said, market card which said, because of inflation, the bank has changed the interest rate, and I have to return all my the mortgage on all my houses is cancelled, and I have to return all my houses. So I had 5 houses in that deal, in that game, and I lost everything. I was only left with a negative payday and no assets. A huge negative payday, but no assets.
Yes.
Right? So this risk is real. This risk is real in real life. If you are in just one category of assets, you have a change in regulation, market fluctuation, any kind of market volatility, bad news in the market, it's gone. Or you are running a huge loss before you know it. And this can definitely happen. Like, say, for example, take a natural calamity. You have an earthquake. You are invested in apartments. You are invested in apartments, and there is an earthquake, there is a natural calamity. The whole thing collapses, or there are cracks in your building, and the building, the town planning, whoever, your authorities, they come and say, okay, you cannot operate this building anymore, or there is a fire in your building. So the authorities will tell you that you are not able to operate this building anymore. And if you have only that kind of building, or if you have only that kind of asset in real life, then you are stuck. You have payments to make. Your mortgage will not wait, but you have no operational, you have no operating asset. It could happen with 3x2s, because sometimes you could have a flood and your 3x2, you cannot live in your 3x2 anymore. Suddenly, all your 3x2s are affected and you have no cash flow, but your mortgage payment still has to be made. So these kind of things can happen, or there are riots. Now, recently, I remember a couple of years ago, one of my friends was in France, and there were riots in France. So your property value goes down. You cannot make a deal. You cannot have people to live in your property when the streets are the streets are they are rioting on the streets. So you get into trouble if you have only one class of assets, if you have only one type of assets. This happens in real life, this happens in the game as well. So sometimes you are, it so happens that I take the 1.2 million 60 apartment complex deal. I pay 200,000 in down payment. I get a huge cash flow of 11,000. My passive income shoots up, but so does my payday go down. And 200,000 is 20,000 every month. So it goes down, and but what happens? I get no market deal. So I have only one kind of asset. I have no deals for it, and I am at a loss. So these kind of things can happen in real life or in the game. So this is the reason why I always look at my financial statement and I say, okay, I have one plex. Okay, next let me look out for an apartment. Let me look out for a limited partnership. Let me look out for a house. When I see a house, the house has a possibility of being dropped off my asset list very fast. So I try to stay away from the house deal as much as possible. So being able to look at your financial statement is quite important to make a decision to do the deal or not do the deal. Here,
Yes.
this deal would look very nice to someone who has generated cash flow, generated
Cash.
cash, capital gains. Someone who has already made capital gains, this deal would be excellent. But for someone who has not made capital gains yet, is still waiting to make that change in the financial statement, this would
Yes.
be a good deal.
Yeah. As it stands at the moment, having to finance this
Yes.
is unviable. Whereas, like you said, if we had a large amount of cash and the finance, little or no finance was required, then it is viable, yeah, and
Exactly.
desirable.
Exactly.
So in this instance, I'm going to pass.
All right. Okay, Ben.
Yes,
Can we
we
see
are ready.
screen?
Let us see here.
Yes. What do we have? Okay. Right, automated business for sale, 30 pinball machines, long-term contract location. Now, Ezra.
That's a good question for him, for Ezra.
No.
I thought about him the same second you did.
No, Ben, I want you to analyze this deal, but I just wanted to point out to Ezra, this is something similar to the vending machines business that you spoke, Thomas mentioned to you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Okay. Let's have Ben run through the deal.
Uh-oh. Let's see.
All right, that looks good.
I'm just trying to sit down here
Okay.
while I'm holding the phone because I'm on my way to work.
Okay.
Okay, so it's a pinball machine business. Contracts located for sale by overextended owner. So it's a desperate owner. Very desperate.
But I want you to analyze the first statement before you come to the desperate owner.
Automated business for sale.
All right?
And the 30 video pinball machine.
All right.
Long-term contracts.
What can you understand about the business from that description?
That it's a long-term contract, basically.
All right. So that is one point that we note, that it is a long-term contract and there is less cost of sale.
And location is for sale by overextended owner. I'm not so sure about that.
Okay. Now it says 30 video pinball machines, right? So 30 video pinball machines should be quite think of a gaming arcade. 30 pinball machines, no, or let's say have multiple locations. So think of it as a huge number of machines that we put in. And look at what it says about the owner. Overextended owner. Now, this is something very, very important for us. overextended owner. Now, when it says overextended, it means the owner has made loans and loans and loans. He has no more loans to get. He cannot get any more loans. He's taken too many loans, so he is in big trouble because he has taken too many loans. Overextended owner. Now, again, why I'm saying this is because this is exactly what we are doing in our strategy as well. We are overextending ourselves, right? We are overextending ourselves on our financial statement. We are taking loans and loans and loans and doing these deals. Now, this is the reason why we need to consider financial education. If you don't have sufficient financial education, overextending yourself or extending yourself to the point where you are overextended is very dangerous. You see the point?
Yes.
If you don't know what you are doing, and this happens to many investors, this happens to many businesses. This happens to many businesses because most entrepreneurs, when they start their business activity, they are only discovering along the way. And this is one of the reasons why we see many businesses fail in the first 5 years. So I was there myself. I have seen it happen to my own businesses because when you run through a business and you are not so sure what is actually going on and you're still discovering, sometimes you make fatal mistakes to the point that you cannot come back. It's equivalent to a bankruptcy, or it is equivalent to what this particular owner is going through. Overextended owner. Overextended. So what is the difference between extended? What is the difference between taking loans and knowing what you're doing and being overextended? Because both of these people are doing the same thing. Each one is taking loans. Each one is trying to operate on other people's money. Each one is trying to get investment into the business. Each one is trying to do the same thing, except that one person is overextended and the other person is leveraged. This is the difference between leverage and overextension. Financial education. If you know what you're doing and you are careful, you watch your financial statement, you observe, you make your decisions based on your financial statement, then it is easy for you to make the right decisions where you can leverage. If you don't look at your financial statement and you just click on loans and loans and loans every time you want to make a big deal, then you are simply overextending yourself. That's the reason why even if you talk to somebody in the game and tell them, okay, you take a loan and you cover up for your payday, they will not be able to make it to the fast track like someone who knows what they are doing, like someone who is looking at the financial statement and doing the right thing. So getting financially educated and taking loans and simply taking loans just to cover your payday is two different things, and they are the opposite of each other. Now this meeting is ending. I think we will go one more meeting. Yes, one more meeting.
It would be nice if we had a timer, all of us, so we could check.
Actually, it gives me it puts it up on top of my screen. I get a small bar which says it gives me a countdown, last 10 minutes. But then, okay, guys, we have actually been here for 3 meetings, so I don't want to extend this one anymore.
Okay.
All right. So if you want to complete the game, we can go ahead and complete the game, but I don't want to put this onto the Zoom meeting anymore, because I think as a rule we have to. I'm sure it's interesting for all of us, because every one of us is participating, and we are having a good discussion, and this
Yes.
is far better than the last week's meeting, I feel. Because everybody is, I mean, we have all progressed from level 1 to level 2, or level 0 to level 1, and we are able to make our own analysis of the deals. So this is something that we need to encourage more. I don't want to I don't want to extend the meeting for beyond 2 hours, but we have already been at it for 2 hours now. So
Okay.
as a discipline, I just want to quit the meeting right now. And if you want to stay back, but Ezra won't be able to see the game, because once we quit the game, once we quit the Zoom meeting, the game will be off his screen anyway.
No problem. No problem.
All right. So I think let's call it off completely. What do you say?
Guys,
Same for me, man. I'm starting at work in 50 minutes,
Okay.
40 minutes, so.
Fine. All right. So nice meeting. I mean, I think this was kind of the best that we had so far. Interesting kind of thing. Everyone could participate. We should have come to the. I mean, it's a good evolution that has happened over a period of time. All the meetings that we've done, and I'm really happy. I don't know about you guys, but I'm
Really happy as well.
Yes, me too. Yeah, I think this kind of just participating and thinking more with it. I think it's valuable, and yeah, I think it's great.
Great. All right. So I think, I don't know if we will have a second session today, if we'll have enough participants, but if anybody is there, I'll still be there as well. So good day. Have a nice time.
thank you.
All right, see you soon.
Meeting, guys.
All right. Bye-bye.
The meeting.
Thank you. Bye.
Oh,
See you guys.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.